All right, so I'm here. Yesterday, Apple had an event and they released a couple of products, and of course, I'm going to talk about it. So, yesterday, the first thing they talked about was the Apple Watch, and yes, Series 9, it exists. Yeah, it's a new watch, I guess, and yeah, look, there's nothing really exciting. It was just some new feature, the gesture control, which I thought was quite new, but then they mentioned that it uses the gyroscope and the accelerometer to do those gestures. And then it occurred to me that all the Apple Watches prior in the past have gyroscopes and accelerometer. So I was wondering, I was like, if this is just based on those sensors, why haven't they added it? Only for me to go and check and realize that you can actually access it through the accessibility settings on all the other Apple Watches. So it's really not a novel feature. So I guess if you're using a Series 8, you really don't need a Series 9. And for the Ultra, if you're watching this video, you probably don't even need the Ultra. So next up, they talked about the iPhone, which is the main reason why we are here. The first things they released were the iPhone 15 and the 15 Plus, which, look, is basically a repackaged iPhone 14 Pro Max. Look, I'm not even saying it because you might think I'm an Apple hater, I'm an Android fan, nothing like that. Look, let me just prove it to you. The chip is exactly the same as the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and that's not a bad thing, because the iPhone 14 Pro Max, the A16 Bionic, was an excellent chip. Like, it's still to date one of the best chips in the system, right? And so it's not a bad thing. It's just the exact same phone. The camera sensors are the exact same. So what I can really tell you is that, look, if you're using the 14 Pro Max, there's absolutely no reason to upgrade. In fact, it's not even an upgrade, to move to the 15 and the 15 Plus, because look, it's the exact same phone, right? And even you're going to lose more features if you move to the 15, because it's only the Pros that have the LiDAR sensor. The regular 15s don't have, and you're also going to lose on the high refresh rate. And so look, if you're using a 14 Pro Max, don't move to the 15 and the 15 Plus, because it's not really worth it. And so it's a good phone, don't get me wrong. If you're using something like a 12 or an 11 Pro Max, anything in that series, look, it's an excellent upgrade because it's an excellent phone. But if you're using something from the like 13 Pro Max, 14 Pro Max, it's really not your vibe yet. But then the pros are where my heart lies. So let's move to the pros. So they have the 15 Pro and the 15 Pro Max, which for the first time, at least that I've noticed, there's a much significant difference between the two, which is, I guess, disturbing for those who want to use smaller phones but use the Pro features. But we'll come to that later and maybe in a full review. But the 15s and 15 Pros and the Pro Max, they have a redesign, right? They've redesigned it with the titanium frame. Now, it's not redesigned in terms of the looks, but the material redesign is equally as important. And titanium is actually stronger than stainless steel while being lighter, which addresses one of the main complaints of the iPhone Pro Max series, because they are very heavy. And so having a lighter phone which is much stronger is a much appreciated change. So, and I think it also looks cool. The colors are a bit boring, but it's a Pro phone. Most Pros like to be minimalist, so I guess it serves them. And so that's one of the changes. The second change was that the A17 Pro Bionic chip. Now, look, Apple's chips have always been excellent, right? And so this is just going to push the envelope and make it way ahead of anything in any other phone. In fact, I'm sure it will even share blues with the laptop chip. So yeah, that one, the Apple has it down. And so that's a good welcome change. And also, they mentioned that there's a coating on the lens of the cameras, which helps to, reduce glaring and lens flares. And this is very important, because if you have used any iPhone from recent, you realize that if you are taking videos at night, one of the most terrible things is that you will see these small spotlights in the video. That's because, I don't know, there's always lens flare when you're shooting in the night, and it's quite terrible. It actually prevents me from shooting videos on the iPhone at night. And so I'm hoping that if there's a coating on it, it should really remove that or eliminate that completely. I saw some people who were in the Apple event who tested it, said that it really is not working well. I'm just hoping that it's not true, that it would actually work well, because it will be a plus, it will be a bonus for all of us. And so I'm hoping that the coating works, because it would help a lot of people take better videos at night, right? Unfortunately, they didn't talk much about video, which it's quite painful to me, and I feel a lot of pain, because one of the main reasons why I like Apple is because the iPhone is significantly better in terms of video quality than any other phone. Look, Android users can argue all they want. When it comes to video, it's objectively worse than the iPhone. iPhones have excellent video quality in the mobile space, right? And so I was quite saddened to see that they only focus on photography. The only thing they mentioned in regards to video was the fact that there's now a new codec which is in log, and this is only for videographers, like pro videographers who will use it. Most people wouldn't like the way log looks, don't be able to utilize it. So I'm a bit sad that they didn't make any significant upgrade. They could have even made cinematic mode better, which they didn't, which I don't know, man. Come on. They could have done better in that front. But yeah, we can now address the elephant in the room, USB-C. Now, Apple has shifted their ports from Lightning to USB-C for the first time, and it's definitely not because the EU is now mandating that phones come with a USB-C. It's definitely not because of that. Apple is doing it out of their own goodwill. If you couldn't tell, I'm being sarcastic. But yes, we are happy. It's a welcome change because look, Apple knows that Type-C is a good cable, at least because it's in their iPads, it's also in their MacBooks, and so it was just a matter of time, I think. But they were being stubborn as usual. Like, they'll do something, but they are being stubborn about it. But anyway, it's a welcome change. We are happy they brought it. Now we can use one cable for everything, right? And so what I can say about this entire event is that it's just incremental changes. But the thing about incremental changes is that if you compare last generation phones to this generation phones, you will think that they are not really doing anything. But that's the thing about incremental changes, right? It's incremental. It's just small, right? But if you go and pick something like an iPhone X and compare it to like even an iPhone 14 Pro Max, you see a significant bump. And so it's better that you have incremental changes than having no change at all, right? And so any little thing they change was a welcome change, and we are just hoping that every year they'll at least do something small to increase the quality all across the iPhone. And I mean, people will still buy it anyway because it's an iPhone. Apple there is packaging that they do well at. So that's all my thoughts about the iPhone, and share your thoughts also down below. I think this was longer than I thought it would be, but share your thoughts down below and let's chat about the Apple products. I'm Michelle Manuel, and I'll see you next time.